live. And I have a wonderful pleasure of not being alone today at this podcast because of the hard work he always puts in behind everything he do and he does. So I hope that you can actually hear us well from here. I have, sorry?
They can hear.
Okay, they can hear. So I have a wonderful pleasure. Can we just stop now chasing the technical things? Okay. So together today with my wonderful husband, we're gonna have going through this journey of about the dogs and awakening. And I think he had a wonderful idea of that this should be done in a way that that we should just pursue all of these technical issues and difficulty that we have, and try to explore a little more on about dogs and awakening projects, right?
Yes.
So how do you feel in front of the camera, maybe for the first time, right? This way.
I feel wonderful.
Be honest to the people. That's the most important things. The truth can set you free.
I think I am being truthful, and so I think it would be good for you to introduce what your podcast is all about. What is Dogs and Awakening? How did you come up with the title? And why should our viewers care?
Okay, let's start it. Let's start it from the other side around. Tell me, why do you want us to do a podcast about the Dogs and Awakening, and what this all brought to your life? Why you think it's so important for me to start doing these lives and start doing these things and kind of just get back on my track of doing podcasts, especially these ones about the Dogs and Awakening?
Well, I think you have a very unique message, and I think it can help a lot of people because, I mean, it helped me tremendously as well when I did my constellation for the first time. It really kind of helped me come out of my shell and to realize that life is so much bigger, so much more important than these little things that we get hung up on. And I think it's a really great message that can help a lot of people because there's so many things out there, and there's so many self-help techniques, so many self-help gurus, and so much stuff out there that I think that this technique that you're offering, that many other people like yourself offer, family constellations, it's really powerful and it's really dynamic, and I think it can open a lot of doors and give people the answers they're looking for so they can finally take full advantage of their lives to unlock their full potential.
You think that's something we can do, like oversized monk?
Well,
and just a spiritual, wearing this strange thing just because I want to look like a
it's
spiritual.
LA, and it's comfortable, and people shouldn't judge others on what they choose to wear, what they choose not to wear. So I think that's besides the point.
Okay, so the about the Dogs and Awakening was my project a long time ago, and how I discovered that thing. You was around that time, right? Or no?
No.
Oh, you harvest the fruits of that, right? That was cute. So the wonderful story about this perfect family constellation thing that solved my life and put my life completely on some other path, including finding Vedran as my life partner in a business and in my life, was some of the tremendous, amazing experiences that putting things together in one particular order helped me understand that you really don't love someone until you do not love their faith as well. And with that said, there was a wonderful story that I felt for the first time next to someone living this reality about. I, for the first time in my life, actually, when I met Vedran, I felt for the first time. That means that a lot of things were done beforehand, but that was one time that I felt someone does love me the way I am. And I don't know how do you feel about that, and how where do you feel all of that fits. But I think the dogs and awakening was my path, as we said, like pure love and harmony, towards pure love and harmony. And then finally we achieved some path, and we achieved some time where you can actually express yourself the way you are, without struggling and without being under the pressure that you need to pretend to be something you are not. Is that why you're still around?
Yes.
Yes, to what? Can you just be here? Like, let this technology care about itself, please.
Yes, this is awesome. You found that. No, I was just reading the comments. So that's why I got distracted. But yeah, so do you want to talk more about the.
Thank you, Carol, so much for that. Yeah. So and then I was I do want to talk about what? How we met, or the title of the episode?
Yeah.
What was the title of the episode? I forgot, because we had these technical issues. Again, you need your
the title of the episode is Suffering is Easier to Bear Than Resolution.
How that resonates with you?
Yes, it makes sense. I mean, that's the foundation of psychoanalysis, teaches that. People say they want to be happy, but ultimately they want to remain stuck, or even worse, they want to almost make it to the top to liberate themselves, but then they want to, once they hit that peak, they actually choose, or we choose for whatever reason, to suffer. But not only that, we want to blame someone else for our suffering, so we can say, I was almost there, I almost made it, I was almost happy, but then you did this to me and now I'm suffering. And I guess it's a lower vibration, and it's easier to do that.
Do you know how Gustav Jung was talking about those things? Like a shadow of the subconsciousness, the big I, the idea of where this beautiful idea of dogs and awakening comes in, and why still our thoughts and the words are pretty unstructured around this. Because I wanted to, like, exactly like that. I for the first time, we had a little technical difficulties, and Vedran was really working so hard and tired there to make everything perfect, and to make this behind the scene, and to make a platform, and to make a live stream go perfectly. And then suddenly, when we put everything in motion, everything collapsed and crashed. So, and then I was kind of like upset, because I couldn't have my line of thoughts together, because I was thinking about, I didn't want to kind of I didn't want to say that I didn't respected everything you put to this live entire day. So I just kind of try to prepare myself, try to have my line of thoughts together and things like that. But everything crashed and everything collapsed. And then I just said, let's just put it for some other day. Let's make us be ready, and then let's do the show some other time. However, then we did a little exercise, the family constellation little exercise, in order to face this challenge that we are actually just about to solve. It's because he wanted so hard, and he worked so hard to impress me, so I can be proud of him, and he can feel loved through my appreciation, through the work he did for this little session. And when we did this little exercise where we faced each other, and then we kind of looked and appreciated one each other through the eyes, and touched the soul of each other through this dynamic silence, then actually what came out was that that perfectness that we both are striving to achieve, to have everything perfect and everything as it's supposed to be, whoever says what's supposed to be, actually failed. Then both of us failed, betraying something in in the other, me in him as well, he in me. But then when I took to be a representative of himself, and I slowly let this first episode go as it goes, and then slowly we're gonna structure it back in how it should be. But let's just let everything that's here, very raw and unprepared and imperfect, because that is what I wanted to do every single time, perfect as much as you can, and then have this background and have that camera and have this and make it perfect. Why? For who? For to pretend that there is something more? Then I'm better to say if there is a background, if I'm better than say if there is something that someone invested to make this happen and then it just failed. So the moment when I felt myself through him, looking him in his eyes and facing myself within him, I felt again that the only one I want to impress is myself. And when you transcend the self and myself, you will find a little child that want to impress his parents. Yes, you are worthy. Yes, you are loved. And yes, you are everything you think you are. But if you bring home only A's, is everything when everything is perfect, when you behave as we want, when you do as we want, when you study as we want, and all of that goes on and on and on. And that is when I discovered the family constellation, to unblock all of this, because I ask a simple question like, how the life would be perfect and beautiful if I would become a friend to my people, veteran example for my kids, my baby mama, my parents, and everyone, as my dog is to me. Because we had with the dog such an amazing emotional entanglement that we try to uncut and unlock when we were talking about the Doggy Mom Academy. So there is a lot of things that you can put together in order to make that Doggy Mom Academy. You need to do this, you need to do that, right? We had a lot. What was the biggest obstacle with the Doggy Mom Academy implementation? What do you think?
For clients, to start doing it. Yes.
What was the biggest obstacle?
But to actually do it.
Yeah.
To do the rituals.
Yeah. So you have a, so why it's so difficult? If you know what you need to do with your dog, how you need to behave with your dog, what you need to kind of put those interaction with your dog in the rituals. Why it's so difficult to implement those things? And then can you come closer, because I think you're off this camera, so I don't want you to be like, yeah.
What is the obstacle?
But what you observed as an obstacle? You was there all the time.
I don't know. I'm asking.
You know.
Oh, emotional entanglement.
There you see, you know. It's kind of like, there you go. It doesn't need to be perfect to find the words to make it perfect. It is perfect, and it is emotional entanglements. Why do we get emotionally entangled with our animals, right? Why do we get emotionally entangled? Because we are missing something. As you said, like if it's my baby, it's my everything, it's my star, it's my father, if it's my mother, it's my everything. And when you see how the dogs interact with the people, you will see that actually we interact with the dogs as they are human. And that might be a big burden on dog because it's a lack of appreciation. It's not my son, it's not my daughter, it's not my husband, it's not my wife, it's not my mother, it's not all of that that I claim it is, because it's not fair to that animal. And then becomes like, do I really want this? Do I really love this dog the way this dog is? Or I actually projected something in this dog that I feel safe at this point of my life having next to me. And then the end of the thing that brings them together with that animal, it creates this superficial world that actually does not exist. And it's so dangerous that we take that superficial dynamic of entanglements projecting into entire different world outside in every single other relationship that we have. That's entanglement. And we saw that over and over and over, right?
Yes. So what is the solution to that? So you're saying people are lonely, or there's someone missing or something excluded from the family dynamic. So the dog comes in to either take the place of someone or to fill the place of someone that was forgotten or excluded.
Yeah, you're now getting in terminology of the family constellation, and that's pretty okay. But what I wanted to say here is that emotional entanglement is okay. Well, how let's get back to your work. When did when did you put your constellation with your dog? What was the first uh, concern? You remember the white dog story?
Yes.
Do you mind sharing?
No.
Do you want?
Sure. My story was that we had a little white dog that was, mainly an outdoor dog, and he wasn't allowed inside. And the only time we would bring him inside, he would poop all over the carpet, which was a deeper metaphor for the situation at the time with my family dynamic.
That's all you want to share?
I think that's all I want to share.
Yeah, it's fair enough, because the stories oftentimes are not as easy as they seem, and every one of us does have a story to share. So once you dig, and I have a wonderful book that I'm still working on about the dogs and awakening, that's actually getting a little more deeper understanding in exactly what Vedran was talking about.
Where can people buy the book?
On Amazon, but let's say that no, it's so sweet. Like, so what the Vedran was just talking about is how the family dynamic of dog peeing and pooing on a carpet how the family dynamic can be represented through the dog peeing and pooing on a carpet. How that was, where that's connected, and how that leads us elsewhere, or where that can lead us. Particular discovery was when you discover some I was thinking about that oftentimes, because I was struggling when I was going. You remember how did I discover all of this? The story about my breakup again. I was going through 2015. I got another dog, and the dog was so anxious that I didn't know what to do. And my dog was so anxious that I kind of came to understand, like, what the heck is going here? Like, I know how to deal with the dogs, because that is what I was doing all my life. But it was successful because I was not emotionally entangled with those dogs. I was creating a rituals through the relationship and everything. I was feeding them through the ritual. I was walking them through everything has a structure, and I was a master to those dogs. And those dogs would do everything to please me, because I was up to the standard that the dogs would expect me to be. However, when I got a dog that I embraced as my part of myself, the entire relationship with that dog shifted. And then if you want to see, and if you really want to be honest to yourself, the moment when the dog comes in our life, there is always some bigger challenge going on. Either we are going through some hardship, either we going through some loss of no matter which kind, or some loss or some hardship is just about to unfold, or it's a so great experience, like we are so high in this
Ecstasy.
ecstasy, that we are kind of either out from some depression or some hardship, or we are just getting prepared for one. And you will always see the dog will appear on a horizon. On a logical way, how it's going to happen doesn't matter. You're going to get it as a present, you're going to see it in a pet shop, you're going to get finally your childhood dream be fulfilled. It's going to just, your friend going to ask you, do you want another dog? And you're going to say yes, or you're going to finally, you're going to have a puppy in the home. And then entanglement starts. Then that emotional entanglement starts, and the dogs become lost. We saw all of these COVID puppies adopted from all over the place, and the people spending time with them. And then the entire generation of the puppies raised into anxious dogs, that now you can't leave those dogs at home when you go, and you will say that, oh, it's because my dog is, I'm so the dogs are used me the dogs are used to me being at home, and now when I'm gone, now they're like suffering this separation anxiety. The suffering of separation anxiety in dog life happens only when the dogs doesn't trust their owners, their masters. And why wouldn't they trust us? We bring food every single time because we live irresponsibly. We go to the job we don't like. We stay in a marriage with the people we don't like. We don't cope with the loss of loved ones the way it should be in the nature, in the language of nature. And then when the dogs come, when the dog sees us as their master, suffering through the life, they say, like, what the heck is going on with you? How are you going to protect yourself in that world without me? Who going to care about me if something happens to you? That's when the entanglement in the emotional dynamic happens. That's when the so-called, there is scientific explanation for this called morphic resonance that keeps entire family, excluded ones, forgotten ones, the ones that we are ashamed of, that the uncle that was, the great uncle that lost his life in a concentration camp, the great grandmother that died alone with the cats in some Budapest, my brother-in-law that no one liked and he was a black sheep, and the aborted children that no one cares about and forgotten because of the big pain. All of that creates a family consciousness. And all of that pain lives through the people that are experiencing life nowward. Am I using the too strong words, or you can kind of?
No, I think there's a lot to unpack there. So you're saying there's a lot of free floating anxiety out there. People are, putting on a certain facade and they're living life by acting in certain roles that they might not be fully happy with. So then as a reflection, they're having these issues with the dog who's trying to tell them, get it together, or it's going to be the end for both of us.
Yeah, because that's exactly that's a great way to put it together. And that is why entire work of this about dogs in an awakening is structured around how to become a master to our life. And the dogs, we can't teach dogs anymore. There is nothing we can teach dogs, not to make them become a circus animal. Sit, come here, go, move left, move right, pretend to be this, pretend to be that's a circus way of communication, no?
Yeah, and generally people have, they get triggered by the term master because they think it implies dominance, aggression. So maybe it would be good to define what it actually means to be a master of your dog, just so everyone understands what we're talking about, so there isn't any misunderstanding.
But then take your beautiful political correct language and explain so I don't end up talking this harsh. language?
What do you mean by the term master?
But you do know what I mean. Can you just tell to the people?
So you're gonna flip the question and put it back to me.
But because you know to say it like a nicely, sweeter than I would.
So master is a leader that inspires, that doesn't have to use force.
Perfect. That's a real master. Zen master.
Yeah. And we need juice.
Yeah, Zen master of their life. No, it's upstairs. Run. Okay. So yeah, Vedran actually put it very perfect, as he always does. He's a little perfect little creature. And so what the point of this actually is, that I discovered that this entanglement is dangerous. It's emotionally dangerous. It's emotionally draining for people, and it's emotionally draining and addicted for the people. So when we experience this little joy and pleasure and things like that because we felt love finally by our dogs, will prevent us from reaching a final destination and being loved by a people. You can kind of, they don't have a clue what they're talking about. I love my dog, things like that. Just observe the circumstances.
Or maybe we should give people a background. Why are we even talking about this topic of dog anxiety? Where does it come from? And where do we get off speaking about this? And why do we think it's important to speak about it? And why did you write an entire book about it? So, I mean, I'm a groomer, stylist in training now for 2 years. And, 90 to 95% of the dogs, they're very nervous. They're panting, they are very stressed. So what we want to do is actually increase the well-being of the dog so they learn to enjoy something as simple as getting a bath and a trim.
Yeah. So that's very that's very important way of communicating with the dogs, is to create a space for them. And that is what I want to teach people, because that is whenever I gave a space to my dogs, their behavior was perfect. Because in that space, they were able to find their place. If we are on our dogs, oh my God, he's not eating. Oh my God, did he poo? Did he pee? How many times you woke him up today? Oh my God, it's 8 o'clock. Oh my God, it's 4 o'clock. Oh my God, I won't be home on time, and all of those things. All of those things show that respect is missing. We don't respect the dog as a dog, and we project this fake facade, because it is a fake facade, no matter how painful it is to face the reality. The truth will set us free. Everything that the parents are holding as a secret lives in a body of their kids, of the real children. Everything that the parents holds as a secret lives in a body of their kids. That's why the responsibility of being parent is so great, because it's in service of the life of children and generations to come.
Hold on, we have a good comment here that I want to share. So in the US, life is very different for people. Relationships are seldom loving, but using each other. So pets are companions rather than humans.
Okay, that would be now.
I wouldn't just say in the US, I would say everywhere.
Yeah, that's everywhere, actually. It's everywhere. So the pets are companion rather than the humans, and that's really true. And that's exactly what we are talking about. We talk about that entanglement. It shouldn't be like that, because it's a big burden on the dogs. They can't fulfill that task. And that is why I wrote the book. And the name of the book, I don't know, it will remain the name of the book, about the dogs and awakening. is what do I need to do so I finally become a friend to a human as my dog is to me. So the dog have specific role in a human life is to make them better humans to another human. How this world would look like if the human would learn to become a best friends to a people as the dogs are to mankind. How this, I can't even imagine the beauty of this world. If I would be in service of you and you would be in service of me, and then both of us would be in service to him and he would be in service to us without expectations. Can you find that don't change thing? Do we have one? So we can kind of slowly close this thing.
Yes.
So all of these podcasts that we started now, we're going to be ongoing thing. Will we make it perfect next time? I don't know. Will we have structured line of thoughts? Probably much more, because I just didn't want to cancel it because it was not perfect up to his expectation and up to mine, because I wanted to challenge myself how okay I am by not being perfect, not being structured, not being, even if I, well, how would I come? Because the Bert Hellinger had an amazing quote, and he said, when I make a mistake, I know I did something good for greater cause. Then I didn't, that I was not even able to imagine when preparing not to make a mistake. So, and then in order to live what you preach or to live what we talk about and to live whatever we were thinking about, it's to come. It's a Antonio de Mello poem, Don't Change. So it's to bring that light to the surface of understanding of human dog entanglement that prevents humans' progress. But the dog can be a great tool and the teacher through the untanglement to get ourselves in the position so we actually get to a chance to learning from dogs get closer to humans. I do understand the concept, I'm hurt so much.
Your caring comes across, you don't have to be perfect.
There you go. Thank you, Carol, so much. Means a role to me. Because through entire my life, the perfectness is something I was striving for. And why? I just wanted to be so good to my parents that they would finally tell me, oh, my son, we are so proud of you. Now, slowly, I'm not in need of that anymore. But my subconsciousness makes me feeling angry if the things are not perfect. And by me doing the step through that, creating unperfectness, that I actually saw before we came on board on not perfect things, this live that we did a little exercise, me watching him in his eyes and he watching me in my eyes, and then feeling that sense of betrayal. Oh, I failed you and you failed me and I failed you, and the feeling of failing each other because the things are not perfect. And then actually I said, like, no, now is the right time to do it, because we need to live through this imperfectness and to see that it's very safe to be imperfect, that we would have each other and we would love each other the way we are, even if the things are not perfect. And I don't need him to produce a wonderful show so he proves me he loves me for me to love him. It's not in that sense. But that's exactly what this session of about the dogs and awakening is to be about. Do you want to?
Oh, I have watched your videos for many years. You're a wonderful person. That is what I have seen in you.
Oh my God, that's so nice. Thank you so much, Carol. It means really a lot to me. Oh my God, especially now when I want to detach myself from this need of being perfect. I always wanted, and even when I was trying not to be perfect, I faked unperfectness unconsciously. And later on, when the show went by, when I drained myself off, I understood that I didn't pump myself up with the energy, but I rather than lost the energy, pretending that's everything okay. And for the first time in my life now, today, here in front of these two cameras, is something that I feel it is perfectly unperfect, thanks to great support that I have inside this wonderful man. So I want you to read this poem because I always read it myself, but maybe it's a good time for you to read it as well because the it does means a lot to me, and you don't need to be perfect for me to love you because I do love you as you are.
Oh,
There you,
you.
Donna. Thank you so much. The new YouTube series is coming in two ways. We're gonna move on with the two things about the dogs and awakening, and I'm gonna next week start doing the regular live shows in super styling sessions in grooming, um, high end styling in the dogs, but completely different way that I was trying to do in the past. And all of that has to do with my discovery of how the dogs are important for humans and how we can teach, learn from dogs. The dogs become our teachers, not someone to need to be taught, because by living with people in this resonance, bringing out from us everything is that's buried, because if you see any of your dogs, we represent something that's hidden inside you, that's something that's forgotten within. It's going out finally, and through the behavior of your dog is a message to the entire family system, how the family system can be balanced so it can move on without all of those pieces of the chain and the puzzle that are missing just because they're forgotten. And it's not about like that. We learned about that some destinies are to be repeated, that the family has issue with the money, the other family has issue with the wealth, the other family have an issue with the anxiety, with this, with that. But somehow looks like if someone in a family has some issues, looks like that all of issues are just being transferred somehow to the generations up front. So that's why big responsibility of the generation now is for the future ones. Maybe the others didn't have this awareness and consciousness about how to learn from dogs because the dogs were doing something for the people. But now when they become a man's best friend, a human's best friend, then why we don't learn them from them how to become a best friends to another human beings? How amazing would be that?
Amen. We all
Okay,
have issues.
that's liberating. To pretend not to have issues is a false way of moving on, because once you start understanding that your story is not different than mine and mine is not different than anyone else, that every one of us has a beginning of the life, its middle and the end, and all of that is structured. And if I think that I have any free will to choose something that doesn't come from my unconsciousness, that's programmed.
Yeah, yes. Okay, save that for the next podcast.
Oh, you think it's too much already?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. I apologize.
Okay,
Thank you so much.
Read the poem.
No, read you.
End it.
No, you read the poem.
Don't change. I was neurotic for years. I was anxious and depressed and selfish. Everyone kept telling me to change. I resented them and I agreed with them. And I wanted to change, but simply couldn't, no matter how hard I tried. What hurt the most was that, like the others, my best friend kept insisting that I change. So I felt powerless and trapped. Then one day he said to me, "Don't change. I love you. just as you are. Those words were music to my ears. Don't change, don't change, don't change. I love you as you are. I relaxed, I came alive, and suddenly I changed. Now I know that I couldn't really change until I found someone who would love me, whether I changed or not.
Okay. Thank you so much. So thank you so much for this live chat interaction with however and whomever at this call. Thank you
Thank you,
so much for
everyone.
being
Drop us a
here.
comment, like, and share.
Yeah. And then we're gonna keep you posted on when we're gonna go live with next episode. It might be tomorrow, it might be next week, it might be whenever and however, but it will be perfect in its unperfectness. Thank you so much for staying with us tonight and have a wonderful evening and see you soon. Love you all. Bye.
Bye bye.